Oop. What is going on with my screen? Hold on a second. I have no idea what just happened. Oh, here we go. All right. We're good now. All right. Welcome to RCAM. I'm your host, Ryan, and thank you for tuning in today. So today we are joined by my friend Ross. How are you doing today, man?
And I'm doing so good. How are you?
I'm doing great, dude. I'm really excited to have this conversation. So, Ross and I go uh, kind of far back, actually. Over 10 years now. We've known each other,
Yeah.
and it's been probably over 10 years since we've seen each other. But we've stayed connected via Facebook. So, why don't you tell my audience a little bit about yourself, man?
Yes. Okay. My name is Ross Jones. Um, Originally from North Carolina, but I went to Oklahoma to study at Oral Roberts University back in 2010, and that was kind of where I connected with Ryan here. And um, at ORU, I studied uh, Old Testament and Hebraic studies and Spanish as double major, and then I went to get my Master's of Divinity, and
Nice.
all through ORU, yeah. And so imagine being there from 2010 2017 in Oklahoma. You kind of get a lot of you get to know a lot of people, you get connected so deeply, and I found my church and everything. So I decided to just stay there. North Carolina is a beautiful place, wonderful place, amazing to raise a family. The weather's way better than Oklahoma, but when I came over here, I found my place, and I decided just let me plant my roots a little bit here. So that's where I'm.
That's cool, man. That's cool. So, part of the reason that we're having this conversation is obviously, unless you've been living under a rock, we've seen kind of this seismic shift happen in the church, in the Christian community, in the conservative movement, with the death of Charlie Kirk, and that has moved a lot of people to start wanting to be a little bit more vocal about what they believe and stand a little bit more boldly for the sake of the gospel. And I guess, have you been somebody that's followed Charlie Kirk's work throughout the course of his career?
Yes, I have. So I first heard his name. Um, I guess back in like 2019. Uh, well, I believe I might have heard it earlier, but 2019 definitely. Um, but I started watching his videos a lot more in the wonderful COVID year.
Yeah, that was a
Um,
big year for
what
a lot of
big
us.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the sides to the lockdowns and all that was you get a lot of time on your hands.
Yeah.
And so a few things I started following rigorously, and I can show you a little bit of 'em. First one was Daily Wire.
Yeah. Yeah, I got my
Got the
leftist
little
tears tumbler too.
Yeah, so 2020 was when I started following Daily Wire and got subscribed to it, and I listened to every single person. Like I know who my favorites are now, and who I listen to every single one every single day because the lockdowns made it a thing because I like it wasn't too bad of a lockdown in Oklahoma,
Yeah, that's good.
but as an educator, because I'm actually a teacher,
Okay, cool.
I experienced the lockdowns of virtual classes and all those things, which it wasn't a good idea at all. But the other side to it was I had a lot of time on my hands, so I watched every single episode you can name of Matt Walsh, Ben,
Who's your
Clayton.
favorite?
Oh, my favorite 100% is Michael Knowles. I like
Michael
him so
Knowles.
much. Michael Knowles, and then Matt Walsh was a second. I actually listened to way more Michael Knowles, way more Matt Walsh, but I liked Michael Knowles the best.
Okay.
And so I listen to Michael Knowles still a lot more. I don't listen to too much of Matt Walsh now. And there's nothing bad about it. It's just like I've that it's been 5 years, and I started finding the things that I listen to more, even outside of the Daily Wire sphere.
Yeah.
And Michael Knowles I kind of keep up with a little bit more. Uh, but that
He's
was the year.
he's
Go ahead.
growing on me, Michael Knowles. I've been very partial to Matt Walsh. I actually started first I first read my first Matt Walsh article while I was at ORU. I think it was like 2013,
Yeah.
2014. I read the one, one of the this article that was making the rounds. He was actually criticizing a public school teacher because she was basically making this student feel ashamed of being a virgin, this kid, or
Mm,
and he had given advice to this young kid, and I thought the article was great. And I'm like, wow, this guy is like
yeah.
just cutthroat and
Mhm.
honest and raw. And I was like, this is
Yep.
awesome. I've never heard somebody talk like this.
Yes.
And for me, it was a breath of fresh air because I'm like used to people just kind of dancing around the truth. He just is like just a hammer came down.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
started following his writing after that and kind of seeing his evolution leading up to the Daily Wire, which was awesome. So he's definitely my favorite host. Probably stylistically, I'm a lot closer to how he is, but Knowles is growing on me. I like Knowles a lot.
So yeah, so I've gotten those two styles. Like Matt Walsh is the one where if uh I liked him because um the side of me that gets pretty dry and almost like where like feelings don't exist. I have that where I'm not mean. It's just like business, and where you just don't take into account a lot of who's listening too much. But that was what I clean to. I remember in 2020 where I used to go for walks and runs every single morning, and I would listen to his car cast. I'll go way back. I subscribed and went all the way back to like CarCast number one and stepped listening to every single one of them. And I listened to like a ton of them in the mornings as I was doing my runs and everything. And it was just Matt Walsh, just Matt Walsh, Matt Walsh. And I liked his character that side. People don't like it, but I like that one because I can get very dry. I enjoy dry humor. Like that's a big side of me. Is dry humor. And then the other side is, man, this is why I like Michael Knowles. Michael Knowles is the nicest guy ever. Like I don't know why people can get angry at him. Like Charlie Kirk was pretty nice, but Michael Knowles is just like even nicer. Like
Yeah.
like how you can get mad at him. So he would with a smile on your face debate you down and bring you facts and logic. And that's the side of me that I'm not necessarily big on conflict, but that has changed because I mean, you need conflict to grow and all that kind of stuff. But he was a way he knew how to face conflict and disagreements and almost like keep a smile on his face the whole time
Yeah.
and not get rattled at all. And I was like, oh man, this guy is cool to listen to. Of course, there are things I disagree with both of them. I'm not a Catholic in any way,
Yeah.
shape, or form.
Yeah. Both of them are
Um,
pretty diehard Catholics, but I respect it, man. It's
oh yeah, I
they're living
respect it
by,
too.
their convictions, and I can at least respect that, and they stand boldly for what is true, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, but to kind of wrap this part up, like, uh, I going back to Charlie Kirk, alongside the listening to those things, um, of course, when it came to Ben Shapiro, he's like he almost wrote the book of modern debating, like when it came to that, and Charlie Kirk said that he was intrigued by just how Ben Shapiro was. And so naturally, when the like algorithms flow, the algorithms go around and everything. If you get a Ben Shapiro, you're going to get a Charlie Kirk debates with facts and logic
Yep.
type of clip. And I'm always that person. I don't know if it was or you taught me or always that or something else, but I was always a person that says, "Hey, I want to know the context of everything I'm hearing."
Yeah.
And so I hear one big clip. Oh yes, Charlie Kirk destroys with facts and logic. I want to see everything that leads up to the destroying with facts and logic.
Hey, I got a
And
question. Speaking of facts and logic, what do you think of how racist Charlie Kirk is? I've been hearing that a lot. That Charlie Kirk's a racist. You know, what do you think about
look,
that?
first of all, let me check my skin color. I don't really check it a lot. It's just people talk about it too much, so I gotta like just for the Wokies out there. I mean, now all right, now that's over. Racism, no, like what? I one thing that I have um not even detected a hint of from him is racism. Matter of fact, it is the complete opposite. Not the Emmer McSkinney anti-racist, but actual he's not a racist. Like like when he goes against the DEI thing, that one hit my like it hit my heart really really strong when the whole DEI stuff came up. I actually heard about DEI a long time ago because it crept into the school program at very early, like when before it got really really big and famous. Like 2000, I started teaching 2017, and that was when I started hearing it creep into education. They started forcing those classes in front of like teachers as their professional development, and to hear Kirk talk about that, and then I can think of people in my own family who are I by the grace of God, my siblings are very, very smart. And my family members and other people are very, 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 very smart. And to actually have someone say the quiet part out loud that um, no matter how smart a black person is, DEI will make you think that you got there because of your skin color.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually
And
pretty insulting. Like, I don't ever want to think I got hired because I'm Spanish. Like, I don't want that to be a factor in hiring. I want to know that I got hired because I'm the right person for the job, the most qualified person for the job.
yes, 100%. And so in my groups I follow that are pretty diverse when it comes to who's on what side of the aisle and all those things like that. That was the biggest thing that I end up getting in, like, not necessarily heated arguments because I'm not a really heated person, but uh, I feel that emotionally because imagine like I'm thinking about my brothers and how they're all straight A students, very, very, very intelligent, like high levels of education and all those things. And all that, I literally saw them doing the work. Like I saw them achieve, only to have this narrative come up and cause that to be questioned.
Yeah, it's not
And
right.
that was one thing that Charlie Kirk brought out over and over and over again. That's you saw that quote that came around was like, "Man, when I see a black pilot, like I don't know, man. I don't want to be like that, but sometimes you gotta like question." And then you see Delta, or I forgot which. I'm not gonna say that the names. I don't want to get it wrong here, but you see some airlines who actually came out and talked about, yeah, we want to increase our quotas, and so it causes you to question. And I'm like, I don't want that life to be like that because I've my culture, people achieve because of merit. And yes, there are sides. I want to be honest. There are sides that I'm still trying to understand of myself of why, like, I think black people, there's just cultural type things and also upbringing, but why there's like so different. Like, um, for example, when it comes to music, it's normalized for people to start playing piano and music at 4 years old. And I'm talking big gospel music and all that kind of stuff in the black community. And it's not. I don't think that's really really uh, much you see when it comes to music and those entertainment sides, athleticism, all those things. A lot of it's genetic, but a lot of it also is upbringing and all those things. So there's certain sides of me where I'm like, yeah, is it because I'm black or this kind of thing, that and the other? But then other sides, but then I always think about no, we're all a part of the human race. We're
Yeah.
all like God is, and plus God has blessed each and every one of us
Yeah.
to do amazing things and gifts and talents. And once we identify those talents, we are able to develop those talents. And I think that's something that Charlie Kirk definitely liked to push in people. I saw when I saw this, my wife sent me to this. How Turning Point USA is now has their list of people that they're going to continue his tour with,
Yeah.
and now he's lit a fire in so many people that they're covering for him,
Yeah.
and that's gonna be the norm. I think that's gonna be the norm for the rest of the like.
Good.
Talk about Romans 8:28, God working everything for the
Yeah.
good. I mean, it's a horrible situation, but God's gonna get some glory out of it. Now, like,
Yeah.
it's not just one person, and so regardless of skin color and all things like that, there and or merit, man, God can give everyone the ability to succeed, and I can just really go from there.
Yeah, man. You work with your hands, you create, you build. That's a beautiful thing, and that's something that should be celebrated, and I think like DEI is one of those things that it breeds it's like the what do you call it? The soft bigotry of low expectations. It's
Yes,
like you have these no, like I actually believe black people, Spanish people can work just as hard as white people. There's no reason they can't compete
100%.
compete in the same field. There's no reason that they can't get in on merit. Like let
Yes,
them compete. Let them rise to the occasion because I believe they can do
yes.
it. I
You
do.
know, there's this one thing. I may not get on social media a lot, but I do like to write. And um, boy, if someone were to see all the things I've written in my like phone notes, this one thing I'm working on is what I call the racial totem pole of excellence.
Hmm,
And it's all against what this idea of black excellence is.
hmm.
So let me follow you here, and you'll understand what I'm talking about when I saw the race. They call it a totem pole because on the bottom, let's say we have a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest achieving, one being the lowest achieving. Number 1 to 3 is what do you call black excellence? And I don't like that term black excellence. I hear so many people, I see shirts everywhere about it because black excellence says, oh, all you can reach is level 3 amongst the black people. That's black excellence, level 1 to level 3. In the middle, I would say they don't call it white excellence, but basically the average from 3 to like 7 is average, like where it's like you get the what they would consider white and how they achieve. And then when you go from 7 to 10, you'll see the people who are like really, really achieving. You got the Asians, the Indians, who when it comes to achieving academically and all that kind of stuff. So my theory is that if we see quote unquote disparities in uh, achievement, it's because we divide ourselves in our groups and we're fighting amongst ourselves for
Yeah.
the top of the bottom. We're at the top. Like black excellence is I can only get to level 3, so I'm gonna fight everyone within my people to not be level 2 and level 1, forgetting that there's actually excellence. It's an excellence scale where hey, you can achieve regardless of your color of your skin. But if you want to, if you limit it, once you put that limiter, the modifier black excellence, it's like okay, you're excellent amongst black people.
Yeah.
Why can't just be excellent?
Yeah. Yeah, why do we need these racial qualifiers, let's
Yes,
just aim to be excellent, and pursue what is good and righteous and pure and holy, like just, pursue that, my wife says this that she, where she said exactly what you said before. We're part of the human race. There's one race, the human race, and we're all part of it. And I think that's probably the first and foremost thing that we need to recognize is that we're all human beings, we're all in this together, and we shouldn't be dividing ourselves up into these racial tribes and, jockeying against one another. I just don't think that's conducive. My tribe ultimately is Christians. Like
oh yeah,
if you're a Christian, you're a brother. If you're a Christian, we're in this
yes,
together. We are. We stand together, and um, we build one another up. That's what we're supposed to do. And that's what I aim to do. So I even divorcing myself too in a way from the conservative or Republican label, because that can kind
mm,
of get a little bit messy.
yes,
Um, I'm a Christian first before anything. Like that is the most important thing to me. That is a central part of my life and who I am. Um,
yes.
So I wanna back up a little bit and get back to Charlie real quick. So what was your first reactions, I guess, when all of this went down? I know I was live while it happened. I was kind of in denial
Saw that.
that he died, honestly. So I'm like refreshing, trying to see, hear from somebody credible if it was true that he actually died. And then I saw the tweet from President Trump, and I realized, like, oh man, he's gone. He's really gone.
Yeah. So let me just explain the scene. These were one of those moments where I knew exactly where I was and what I was doing. One of the other moments, which was this was actually, I don't know if it was just a coincidence or something, but the one other moment in my life where I knew exactly where I was and I was really, really young was actually 9/11,
Yeah,
September 11th. I think I was in the fourth grade. I knew exactly where I was sitting, and I remember when it happened when the news came out. This was another one, and it was happened to be the day before the celebration of 9/11. If I'm not mistaken, it was
yeah,
the 10th where he passed away. And uh, again, I'm a teacher and an elementary teacher, so you don't get a lot of time to do a lot of much anything. So I'm hardly on my phone. So I had my one little time for a little break. All I did was open my phone up a little bit, go to Facebook, and all I saw was Kirk shot in critical condition. And that was all the news that was out there. And it was like kind of around the moment it happened. And I was like, ooh, shot in critical condition. And that was and but I didn't get a chance to read a lot of it, all of it. So I was in my mind saying like, oh my gosh, my man Charlie Kirk is shot, but I didn't know if he actually died. So after that, I didn't touch my phone. Like I was running and ripping and running around. I'm a third grade teacher, so I can be around a bunch of kids.
oh yeah,
I'm that low headed. So like, there's no being on your phone at all. Like you just can't do that
yeah,
when you're with 8 year olds. And so, um, but I was thinking about it, and then it was only when uh, I was I was just kind of in the flow, and I got a message on my phone, on my Apple Watch, that popped up. My wife sent me a message and said, "Charlie Kirk was assassinated." Sad, 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 sad emoji.
uh,
And that was when I realized, oh no, he didn't pull through. At the same time, I was in front of kids, so I kept the faith. I kept my like composure. I've been in education for quite a while now, so I keep my composure. Emotional stability is a real thing,
yeah,
but I was like, it kind of took me back a little bit, and I was like, whoa. And right when I was done with my schooling, all those things, I started looking it up, and lo and behold, yeah, that's when I saw the Trump message, when I saw all these things coming up about it, and um, I gotta be honest, that shook me so much
yeah,
to the core, to the point where I'm gonna tell you this right now. I still haven't, and I actively avoid even watching the video. I still have not seen the movie, the movements of the video, and all that kind of stuff. And like uh, I still haven't seen it. I've seen pictures, and I randomly saw for like a split second like a picture of him like something like that, but it was like really blurry. But I couldn't put it to myself to actually watch the video, um, because like my mind, which is very, very creative, just painted the worst thing about it. Like if you could think of the worst thing I could think of, like my mind already created a whole like visual of what that might look like. Because I read about it. You heard about the type of rifle was used and all those things. I was like, oh man. And then people started describing the thing, so my brain automatically makes a whole video inside of it, and I'm like, I don't want to see the real video. i'm
it's
gonna I'm gonna take the word for it.
it's
So
probably
go ahead.
better that you didn't see it, man. Honestly, I saw it, and uh, it's like one of those things that just kind of burned in your mind. You can't unsee it, and I didn't. I wasn't looking for it. It just appeared on my timeline. I was like, Oh my
And
god.
that's
Like, this is
let me do it.
horrible.
Yes, there's actually a side to that. This is what's really really getting to me is that I work with kids. I also work with youth at my church.
Yeah.
All of them have seen the gruesome, gruesome, gruesome ones. Like I'm talking 7, 8 years old, whose parents don't stop getting on TikTok. They've seen it,
Yeah.
or like and I'm like, uh, but here's the other problem is that um not only that they see it, it. I feel like because of this new even AI and all that kind of stuff, it's almost like they're desensitized
Yeah. I don't
to it, and
think
then and
we're not supposed to see stuff like that, bro. We're just
no, we're
we're
not.
not. It's damaging to the human soul to see stuff like that. And, for adults, we're not supposed to see it. So for kids to get exposed to that it's horrible.
Yeah, and that always gets to my heart because kids are very a big aspect of my heart, and
Yeah.
um, to protecting them, protecting their innocence. That was one of the things that my parents were fairly good at. So one could say I might have been the sheltered, but now with the big internet and all those things, I'm like, I'm so thankful that my parents, even without the internet, they did what they did. They even wanted to shield from as much as they could from there. Because I enjoyed my childhood. I was innocent from a lot of things, and it was and um it's just hard now
Yeah.
when I'm talking to young people. I say, hey, now it's all about defending your beliefs and staying, so spiritual, like getting so close to God that when you are exposed, not if, it's when you are exposed that you will have the right mindset.
Yeah.
Because it's almost impossible not to at this point.
Yeah, me and my wife, we made a very conscious decision that, our kid is not getting a smartphone or really unfettered internet access until she's like at minimum a teenager, because I just don't want her to be
Yeah,
exposed to it. I don't want her to come across something like that, because she is so innocent, she's so full of light and joy. I have two daughters, and I don't want her, that innocence being robbed from her because, we
yeah,
prematurely exposed her to the internet when it's just, you don't have to do that. And I think a lot of parents don't realize that, and if there's a parent listening, you don't have to give your kid the smartphone, actually. I know there's, a whole bunch of external forces trying to put the pressure on you too, but you are the parent and you can say no and, and shield them from that.
yeah. I totally agree. My wife and I have already agreed that that's going to be the norm. I also know that I'm a big techie person, so I'm already thinking of ways to get them really, hype with technology without that. Like
Yeah.
if they're like, I'm already thinking of ways around it. I grew up with my dad. My dad's very techie, so I was techie. He knew the everything before it was cool. He was that kind of dad,
Yeah.
and so I'm naturally a techie person. So I want them to know that kind of side. But like as far as internet's concerned and all those things, like no, I'm gonna work my best around it to where this is just not going to be a thing for them.
That's good, man. That's really good. So you had this reaction to Charlie Kirk. He died. You have your first reactions. Then what's some of your thought process following the death?
So my first thought processes was like first it was how did this happen,
Yeah.
and then the second because I was left in shock and awe, um, and the second side was I've seen so much like without even looking I can tell I know that there are people who are just like not for Charlie Kirk at all and completely against it, and they're probably like spitting on the grave he didn't even dig yet.
Yeah.
And so I opened up my Facebook, and I go to some of the groups I follow, and lo and behold, there they are. Like literally 2 hours after, not even after he was actually like the literal actual shooting.
Yeah. In my
You get
TikTok
you get
live,
reports.
they were, as I found out the news, there's people spamming laughy faces, and it was horrible. Horrible.
Yeah, and so that was the kind of thing like, and then here's the aftermath too is, I couldn't sleep, man, the past next few days because I react to things differently. I don't I'm not really I keep saying this, but it's true. I'm just not that much of an angry person,
Yeah.
but um when things get to me, I express it differently, and it was hard for me to sleep those next couple of days. My wife said she might need 3 business days off. She said for her, um, she said she just couldn't stop crying.
Yeah.
Um, I put her on to a lot of things the past. Oh, I met her in 2019, and right before COVID, and I put her on to a lot of these people, and but then she started getting onto it herself where I don't even put her anything, and so she started following him just organically, and
Yeah.
so she got a liking to him too, and then even watched some of the lady TPUSA type things and heard about Erica and all that kind of stuff. So when that happened, she said she just couldn't stop crying.
Yeah. It was the same for my wife. She was devastated for 3 days, and I was devastated too, like just literally it felt like, I don't know, man. It's just so crazy to me, and I think about this, because a lot of people had this same exact experience, but it felt like someone you knew died. That's how it
Yes,
feels. It still feels that way,
yes.
and I'm seeing a lot of people saying the same exact things, is that it felt like someone they knew died, and that's, I grieved it like that, you
Let me
know?
tell you this: there were stints of of the past 5 to 7 years where when Charlie Kirk finally got started doing like his 3 hour podcast radio things and all that, where I was a frequent listener to that, where he would be on the show and I would just listen and listen and listen to him, and I would click everything that had to do with him, and um, it got to the point where I knew exactly how he thought, to where I was like, man, I need to find all the things I disagree with him on, just so if I get the right opportunity, let's say he goes to OSU, and I think he went to OSU once, and like it was right there, and I was like, I want to go in, and he knows the people who disagree get up in the front. I got my disagreement. I want to come up just to talk to him. And so I had my script. I was like, yo, I know I'm going to come with this, and all that. And now I don't really have opportunity. And now that was actually devastating to me. I was like, man, now I can't even disagree with him. Go up
Yeah.
here and talk with him.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
So I think we're all kind of, everybody that, especially if you're a Christian, I think you felt it a little bit more deeply. They shot, I said this before, they shot a member of her body. That's what they did.
yes.
That's what happened, and I think that's part of the reason that we feel it. And it was kind of reminiscent of me, actually. The Charlie Kirk's death was a, reminded me a little bit of John Chow's death in scale of
Mm.
significance. I immediately started thinking about that, and that was, there's moments where, I felt like the Lord was speaking to me, in John Chow's death, because we went to school with him to,
That
it
was
hit,
tough, man.
yeah, hit harder, and it's one of these moments where
Yeah.
it's just like, wow, like he died for the sake of the gospel. And then you see this happen with Charlie Kirk, and he's like, he died for the sake of the gospel. And these are like two, I don't know,
Yeah.
like peak moments in, I think, our history that just stand out in my mind as believers living boldly for the sake of the gospel in different ways, you know?
Yeah. And think about this, man. The guy was 31 years old.
Yeah.
Is not far from our age at all, man.
Same age as my wife, man, you know?
Yeah. It could have, like, not saying it could have been us, but he's in our like our age range,
Yeah.
like, and that's what hit me most because like man, he was a young dude, did so much in his young life and what he created and everything, and like it just hit me because I'm like man, I'm just 2 years older than him. I'm 33, by the way, two
Yeah.
years older than him, and like I was prepared to watch him for decades and decades and decades. He like I believe that if it was his route, he would have been our next president. Definitely would have been on a cabinet somewhere,
Yep.
somebody's
I
cabinet.
100% believe that too. He had that charisma, he had that, spirit behind him, everybody could see it, Ben Shapiro had said the very same thing, and yeah, Michael Knowles said the same thing too. But yeah, I 100% agree. So we have Charlie Kirk die. Obviously, we all had a bunch of questions, and people were questioning the narrative of what actually happened, who was involved, and we finally did get an answer to that. Where it was this radical. I mean, this is a homosexual man dating a transgender quote unquote woman,
Yeah.
and that's it. That is, you had left wingers kind of trying to spin it like he was a right wing guy, because he was raised in a Republican household. But you don't get more left wing than that. That is
No.
definitionally left
And
wing.
did you know this is something that's actually very interesting about his upbringing is that I'm not sure in detail, but Charlie Kirk has talked about a specific type of group of people who were raised in more or less like GOP homes or like all those things like that, Republican homes, and you know like those type of things, but have been radicalized by what he called the college scam, the college
Yeah,
system. There's two scams in the college scam we read in this book. The one big scam is the financial one, and the second one is the indoctrination side.
yeah,
And that guy definitely went. I mean, high school's got it. I see why it happens in education. By the way,
yeah.
why I literally see it because I'm in the circle. I'm in the education circle,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
I
I
see how that
grew up in
happens.
the public education system, dude, and I went through high school hating God, and I didn't even know why, bro. Like I was an atheist
Mm,
until I was 18. I hated God and I didn't even know why. I just hated him, you know? And Lord willing, he was able to cut through the darkness of my heart and reach me. But like that speaks to the level of, I guess, indoctrination that's happening in these public school systems because they're being immersed in this
yes.
environment that is fostering anti-Christian sentiments, really is what it's about.
Oh yeah. So yep, that's exactly what is aiming at. I saw how in the spirit of inclusion, we're going to exclude Christianity. So
Yeah.
it's inclusion through exclusion. I saw that a real strong. The first little small thing was no Christmas. X to put an X there.
Yeah.
No to the Christ out of Christmas and all those things like that. The thing, but I when it comes to the shooter, Charlie Kirk like literally wrote down to a T how those people are raised because put it this way, you can see the level of like the level of radicalism as some when you have something to compare it to.
Yeah.
So what happens is, and I can see this not from my personal experience, but I can see this in um, just a bunch of other examples of like, let's say you're a pastor's kid, because I was actually a pastor's kid. This is one of the reasons I'm a
Okay.
pastor's kid, and um, this illustration made it make sense. Is that when you see a pastor's kid go completely off the deep end, the contrast is huge because they are raising something and they want to do everything, intentionally do everything they can to go against what they have been raised to see or raised around.
Mhm.
So the deeper, the higher the level of something, because I was looking at the shooter's family upbringing and all that kind of stuff. We got a veteran here, 30-some-year veteran. We got all these like GOP this, GOP that, raised a certain way. They weren't perfect, but they were raised a certain way. And so he gets radicalized, and I feel like it was his goal to say everything that I saw in my family, I want to go against.
Yeah.
And he wanted to make the biggest contrast possible. And that's how radicalization happens. And Charlie Kirk talks about that. It's like, man, you, like people, the most radical ones tend to be the ones, not that they're ones that they are GOP, but they're ones who said, I was raised, around those types of things. And then you get influenced at the wrong age, a young age, by huge emotional pulls and the big crowd, the big echo chamber, the big crowd mentality, all those things to the point where I want to go completely against it,
Yeah.
like all the way against it. So then we get someone like him.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's horrible, so it's like me, I strongly discourage, immediately sending your kid off to college so that they can get brainwashed, you know. I'm grateful for
Yeah.
the college that we went to because I actually thought it was pretty solid, you know. I
Yeah.
really, really loved my college
Oh yeah.
experience. Um, because, it was Christian based and, that's the worldview they fostered. But, I had actually before I got into ORU, I had another college that I gotten accepted to. It was a SUNY school in New York, and I remember thinking, if I go to this school, there is there is nothing in it that's going to foster my spiritual growth, and I'm afraid of the person I might become if I go to this school. So I made the conscious choice. Nope, I'm not going to go to this school, even though it was convenient, even though it was closer to my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. I decided, no, I'm going to go to ORU. I'm going to go away to school, and I'm going to immerse myself in an environment that's going to foster my spiritual growth. But with these kids in the public school system, then going right into the 4 year university, you have the opposite happening. And and then that's how you get this radicalization, even though you raise them differently. Well, it's because most of the
Yeah.
day, most of the time, they're being raised by their peers, and they're being raised by these teachers. And I'm not saying all the teachers in public schools are bad. Obviously you're a good guy. I've had a handful of really good public school teachers that were great. I also had a handful that weren't that great. And
Yeah.
this is the environment that they're in, and it's not good for them. So anyway, we have this school shooter that gets radicalized now. um, we have the memorial service that just recently took place, and that was, I think that was the first time I felt like able to breathe, actually, because
Yes.
we saw something incredible. So I guess I'm curious to know your thoughts on that.
So this is one of my thoughts. I was coming out of church, and I knew it was going to happen. And one of the things that was very some people might call it refreshing. I think it was refreshing. Some people might say, okay, they would erroneously say separation of church and state, was that there were a lot of churches who actually screened it in Oklahoma. They screened it at their churches.
Oh wow, that's
Um,
cool.
my yeah. So another ORU student that I went to did my master's in divinity in. Uh, remember Jackson Lawmeyer?
It vaguely,
I don't
it
know if you
sounds familiar.
can hear him. Now he actually ran for the Senate of Oklahoma.
Oh.
So he's all deep into politics, and he's a part of he actually got to meet Trump and everything because he's a part of Trump's prayer like circle at this point.
Oh,
So
cool.
he's pretty high up there. And his church, Sheridan Church. So he's really in the political field now. That's why I'm freely saying his name and everything and all that because like he's out there. When normally he start running for Senate and he's they're making articles in the New York Times for that guy when he does something. Um, uh, his church, Sheridan Church, actually advertised doing a whole big screening of the memorial, and so I wasn't able to go because I was coming right out of church, and that place was packed. but his whole church building was packed to the brim. What I heard, that people wanting to just watch it on TV.
Hmm.
Oh, and yeah, they use the big, the big church screens and everything. He just
Yeah.
filled the screen up with it, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's great. And so, but I got um I got home. It was one of those. It was one of those days where uh usually I would eat out with like church members or kind of hang with people, but this is one of those days where me and my wife just wanted to go home, order something, just go home and relax. And we went home, and we watched the memorial. And you're 100% correct. It was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Like you, two things happened to me. Two things happened that I realized, and I knew this, but I realized it. One was, yeah, this guy definitely wanted to be known by his faith,
Yeah.
and just to see the people that shared a stage with him, just and I'm a musician, so when I saw like Brandon Lake,
Oh yeah.
um, Carrie Joe, sorry, Carrie Joe. I think I need some leftist tears right quick. Um, sorry.
That's all good, man.
um, when I saw Brandon Lake, Carrie Joe, I think Phil Wickham was there.
Yeah.
All those people who do worship, the big faces, they showed up and did a dynamically awesome worship. And then they had the old school hymns going through and all these things. And like that right there was just a big refresher. And then have people talk about him, one of the biggest things they highlighted was his faith. He said he wanted to be known by his faith,
Yeah.
and like he could not. It's just hard to hide it. He was hard to hide his faith. That was that one side. The second side was because I saw all those people who were, the musicians that were up there and everyone who was talking everything. This is nothing against Kirk, but he was just he was nothing special about his brand of Christianity.
Yeah.
He was just a regular guy. And because I saw that, I was like, man, I see me in him.
Yeah.
Like there's like those who were raised, or who are around, the more side, kind of the evangelical side and all those things like that. Like I didn't see anything like out of the norm with this guy.
Yeah.
Like I could have been his friend at church.
Yeah.
And that's why when I saw those wristbands saying "We are Charlie Kirk," I was like, yeah, because I mean, he's just a normal guy, really bold about his faith and loved it,
Yeah.
and create a platform for him to be himself.
Yeah.
If I had that platform, I would just be like that too.
Yeah.
Like literally, I'll just be myself, and Jesus just comes out.
Yeah.
Comes out, like, and so that was what really sealed the deal for me. It was like, man, like this guy, like it was just who he was, and he was just a. So when I saw people come against him so harshly, I was like, what made him so different from other Christians?
Yeah.
Like, what made him so different? Like a lot. There's a few things that I do kind of disagree with. I mean, I always say that if I 100% agree with anybody, that's number one, impossible. Like,
Yeah.
number two, I'm not growing. I'm not going to grow.
That's true.
Like, I'm not going to grow if you 100% agree. So there are things I disagree with him about. But he was by all means just your regular, Christian.
Yeah.
With the platform that allowed him to shine.
Yeah.
And so that was when the memorial happened, and people started talking about that. I was like, yep, I was so moved that I wanted to even ask the question to the guy in one of my groups I follow that like are completely against him. I was like, hey, the way you're talking about him, like he's your normal person. Like, would you talk that same way about me?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Like,
mean,
would
a
you?
lot of people felt that way, man. It's like me personally, I'm more radical than Charlie. You know, if Charlie's a
Yeah.
radical, like I'm further down the road than he is. You know, I'm like,
Oh yeah.
dang man, like they feel this way about him. They're definitely gonna hate me. You know, like they'll throw a
Yeah.
parade if I die. You know, it's like that's
Right.
crazy to me. You know, and I don't even think like my beliefs are right. I just think they're biblical. You know, like I'm just a
Yes.
biblical Christian. You know, I try to follow the Bible. You know, and it's like you know you saw the way that they celebrated his death and the way they acted. It's like that. It was painful actually. You know, because you're like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
that's how they would react if I died. Like I got a very
Mhm.
clear picture now of what
Yeah.
I'm up against. So you do have that contrast of like you seeing like basically the banality of evil, man.
Yes.
Very
The
pronounced
banality of
and very
evil.
very wild. And that was
Yeah.
something that was challenging to me. But you know, you also see the counter to that. And I thought Erica Kirk's speech was incredible. You know, I thought she did one of the most profound jobs of demonstrating what real Christian love looks like. You know, if you were to look at what
Yeah.
Christianity looks like, she demonstrated that by offering forgiveness to the very person who slayed her husband, which was
Yes.
next level.
Man. That's the scripture. Forgive them, for they do not know what they do. Never rang so true. And here's the one thing that this is what I always say: if to prove, go like just put aside all the proofs that God is real and everything. Forgiveness is one of those things that proves God is real,
Yeah.
and that is the highest level of forgiveness ever. Like that was her husband, father to her kids, love her, like love her life, everything knocked out just like that, and she forgives him.
It's counterintuitive.
The only really counterintuitive. Only a God could even like say something like that and genuinely say about, and it can actually put that on someone's heart and have them actually like sense that.
Yeah.
Like she didn't just say that. No, that was a heartfelt thing,
Yeah.
and you could see it, you could feel it, and she literally forgave him.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, if you want proof that God is real, like I don't see anyone outside of someone who God has really transformed having that high level of forgiveness.
Yeah. And I thought actually Trump was like actually more representative. His response, he's like, you know, like Charlie Kirk loved his enemies, you know, Erica Kirk loved it. I hate my enemies, you know. But that's actually
Yeah.
more in line with where most people would be, you know. So Trump is having a
Oh
moment of
yeah.
honesty, you know, saying, hey,
Mhm.
hey, I need to learn to be better. And
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you this. Sorry. I'm gonna tell you this. Um, I know Trump was half kidding on there, but the fact that Trump did treat Kirk like a son,
yeah,
I think he low key meant a little bit of that on at least for Trump for his sake.
yeah,
Because and I'm like, yeah, um I've seen my share of stories about a father who loves their kids so much and that kid gets like wrecked by some maniac, either killed or violated by some maniac, and the father just seeks
hey,
vengeance.
you want to go Liam Neeson on that person? Yeah,
Straight up, Liam Neeson, John Wick, even though John Wick was against his dog and his wife, but same thing. But you want to go straight up, like I will find you, and that kind of thing. So I know I've seen enough Trump to know that he was. You got to like he has that comedian style where it's like, was he kidding or was he not?
yeah.
So everyone's like, but if he wasn't kidding, I totally get it.
Yeah, I mean everybody gets it, you know, and it's like there is that temptation to want to seek vengeance, man. You know, like there is that, you know, that real human temptation to do it, but what sets us apart is that we know that vengeance belongs to the Lord. And I think
Yes.
that's one of those things that we ultimately have to defer to God to. You know, and Erica too, this is a conversation that was happening that I do think is interesting. It's something that is worth talking about is you know this idea that just because she forgives you know the man that murdered her husband doesn't mean that he shouldn't face justice for what he's done doesn't mean that he should not pay the ultimate price for what he's done by meeting the death penalty. That
Yeah.
forgiveness doesn't negate the need for justice. And some people think that that, yeah, if you forgive, then that, justice doesn't need to be served. And no, that's not true actually. If you look at the story of the thief on the cross, he Jesus forgave him, right? And he,
Yeah.
says, "Today you'll be with me in paradise." But notice Jesus didn't get him down off that cross. He allowed him to pay the price for his crime.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was one aspect of my job as a teacher. We call it a natural consequence.
Yeah.
Now there are things that when I see a kid and they get hurt, something they start crying. Because I was a kindergarten teacher for a third grade teacher, and I was kindergarten for 8 years until I became a third grade teacher. They're about 5 to 8 is a big dynamic, but um, when I see a kid get hurt, I'm like, one side of me is feeling really, really sorry for him. But one thing I was also taught was, hey, certain things are natural consequences. If you lean back and forth your chair when we tell you not to, and you fall and bust your head because you're leaning your chair back and forth, they actually taught me, my teacher taught me, show no emotion whatsoever. It's a natural consequence and go on forward.
Yeah.
And and of course, if they get actually hurt, you take care of them. But at the same time, we say natural consequence and you just move forward.
Yeah.
So there's certain things where just the consequence itself, just that which happens, that which comes next, is the punishment. And so I can, forgive him for not following directions in my classroom,
Yeah.
but he gonna get hurt, sir. I'm not putting these rules in here just because,
Yeah.
dude, like for real. And so I related that to this situation, to where it's like, um, hey, you can forgive that shooter
Yeah.
all you want, but justice has to be served.
Yeah.
And I remember I was a resident advisor. It's another thing I connected myself with as an RA or RU. Um, when I was going through the application process and I had to get interviewed, um, they said, "Hey, so let's say you had a guy, and or you had that like an anti-drinking policy, all those things like that, or
Yeah.
whatever, right? Say you had a guy, you walk into the room, roommate check, room checks, and all that kind of stuff, and um, he was just strung out, alcohol, everything. But you had to get to know him. You were a friend and everything. They asked him something like that. It was like, what would you do? And immediately what came to my head was Micah chapter 6 verse 8. He has shown you, oh man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of me? I remember saying this cold. I was like, to do justice, love mercy, walk humbly with our God. So I said, I'm gonna do justice. I'm gonna call the hall directors and I'm gonna let them know what's going on.
Hmm.
But I love mercy. I'm gonna say, hey, I'm gonna coach you. I'm gonna go through this whole thing with you, man. Like this is the best thing for you, sir.
Yeah.
Like while we're here, like we should, like just recognize that this is not a good route. Number one, it's not a good route for you. Um, just being like drunk, a hypothetical situation, being drunk and all that kind of stuff. But I mentioned that was what I would do in that scenario they gave me, and so let me walk you through this process, man. These guys, they really care about you, and you'll probably get some consequences. But hey, we're gonna make sure that you yourself are okay through this whole thing. And that was just the policy of ORU. Now we go to the shooter here. That was a policy ORU. This is an actual like legal, like this dude like assassinated somebody,
Yeah.
and it was by all intents and purposes a basically a political assassination.
Yeah.
I can't see it other way around.
Yeah, and I think the
Um,
way Erica handled it was really beautiful actually, because she had said that she's not going to, seek the death penalty. Instead, she's going to trust that the government is ultimately going to decide what his fate is going to be.
Yes.
She didn't want that on her conscience, which is good because I don't think it should be on our conscience. That's the job and the role of the government is to actually punish evil. So I
Yes.
think it was rightly ordered. Yes, she forgives him, but she's
Mhm.
also trusting that the government will uphold justice in this scenario, which is actually biblically their job. And I think
Yes.
that was the entirely biblically correct way to handle this situation.
Yes. And I totally agree. That was that I saw that how she navigated through that, and I was like, yes, that is the biggest response is that the person um who was the who got hurt the most, um for their conscience to be clean and clear, they can forgive and then let it's the dynamic of uh let the person who is who is wronged. They want I want them to live their life. I mean, their life his her life has changed forever, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't want her to live on with the conscience of, man, I was the executioner of this guy.
Yeah.
While at the same time, uh, he did a very, very, very horrible thing. And so, one of the things that was actually interesting about was I was listening to the governor of Utah, and he said, "Yeah, we have the death penalty, and we." And then someone was also saying like, they that of course we don't know how if this is going to happen to him, but that he might go before a firing squad.
Hmm.
And I was looking up how they did a firing squad, and the people who are doing the firing squad are part of like a Peace Corps type. They're peaceful people, and let's say this: they had 5 people with guns, and one of them has a blank. They don't know who has a blank. The rest, all of them are blanks. One of them has an actual bullet. When you go over a firing squad to go for execution, there's like 5 people I think they have, and all of them have a bullet. One person has an actual bullet that will kill someone. There, everyone else is blank shots. They don't tell them who has it.
Oh, that's
So
interesting.
even yes, so even them, they will have it on their conscience that they're killing somebody.
Yeah.
Even the firing squad thing, even that, even out, even there's actual grace and mercy to the people who's actually legally executing the guy if they do
That's
a firing squad.
wild. I had no idea. That's
Like, look it up,
incredible.
man. Look it up. I was like, what? Like, I didn't know that was an option. That they had that they have other types of firing squads, obviously, but that one was an option that people were talking about. I was like, a peaceful firing squad where the person who kills them does not know if they did it or not,
Yeah.
but justice was served.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Another thing I wanted to mention, at least on this topic, is that the idea of executing somebody. A lot of Christians would be like, well, just let him stay in jail, and that'll be his punishment, so that he has time to accept Christ. You don't think God can move, in that short little bit period of time? I'm not saying we present the gospel to him, and God can move in whatever time frame he wants. God can move in a second. He can move in 10 years. He can move in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not outside of God's ability to move within a certain duration of time. And one of the things
Mhm.
that is biblical too is when you don't punish evil and you don't bring justice speedily, it emboldens evil. So it's
Yes.
like we have a responsibility actually to uphold justice so that more people are not emboldened to do evil and do the same thing. So,
Yeah.
because the fear of punishment legitimately strikes fear in the heart of evildoers. So when they realize,
Yes.
oh, there's going to be consequences, like
Mm.
life-ending consequences. Maybe I shouldn't do this, But the fact is that we don't really, we live in a society right now where we largely don't punish evil. I was what is it? I saw a story today on Instagram. Actually, I saw this a couple months ago. This pro-life woman got punched in the face, got beat up. by this woman when they were having a peaceful conversation, and she's bloodied up, and the prosecutor didn't punish this woman at all. She got away with it. And
Oh,
like, that woman is rightfully upset because she was robbed justice in this situation, and we saw that
yeah,
case with Irina, the girl that got stabbed to death in
yeah,
North Carolina. That person was released 14 times. So this is the problem when you don't actually punish evil. It is actually innocent people that suffer as a result of it, where you would
bro.
actually lessen evil if you just punish criminals.
Yeah, dude, you bring up that. Do you know, like,
Hold
he
that
was
thought.
that.
Let's take a quick commercial break because I gotta go let my wife in. So if you gotta go to the bathroom or fill up some water, we'll just be 1 minute, okay?
Yep.
Okay, we are back. Sorry about that. All right, so where
You're
were
good.
we?
Okay, so it's actually very interesting you brought up the Ariana, I think his name is Ariana
Yeah.
case, because that was in my hometown that I grew up in.
Oh wow.
I think it was Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yep.
That's where I was raised, dude.
Wow.
Like that was my stomping grounds, man. Like I didn't even get I didn't want to. I mean, I didn't look at exactly where it was because I don't want to be so it to get so real to me.
Yeah.
Like, bro, this is the city, and my mom was still, my parents are still living there.
Wow.
But I was like, what? Like that happened right there. Um, and um, I want to. I don't think I've ever ridden those the public transportation those things, but it had to be pretty doggone close to where my parents live, and I'm just like, I don't even want to know how close that was.
Jeez. Yeah. It's
And
sad.
so I have there's a side to me that I'm actually a very very forgiving person. Um, but sorry, I'm I I believe in the power of forgiveness, and I forgive like Christ has forgiven. But at the same time, the reason why I'm so strong on the justice side is because of the fact that God did not just sweep our sins under a rug.
Yeah. No, he didn't.
Jesus had to die on the cross for our sins.
Yeah.
God wasn't just merciful in giving us this righteous position. He was righteous in giving us this righteous position
Yeah.
in Christ because of the sin was paid for. Our punishment of sins was paid for.
Yeah.
And so, um, as nice as I am, as forgiving as I am, I tell people, dude, you were forgiven before you even made the mistake. I'm
Yeah.
that kind of person.
Yeah.
and I hold zero grudges, zero grudge. I haven't held. I don't think I've held one grudge my entire life. Um, I have these standards that I just don't bend on,
Yeah.
and that's how I'm able to live in this world. This world is. I was just talking to my wife about it. This world is built with corruption in it,
Yeah. It is.
where where it's almost like, one, it's almost like impossible to not, quote unquote, do something wrong. Um, and I'm one of those guys who's like, I'm honest to a fault, man. Like I just like to be that kind of person. I'm very nice and all that kind of stuff. But in order to live in this world, you have to have standards, and justice is the biggest standard that I cling on to hard.
Yeah. It's
And in my
important,
nice
bro.
way possible, I hold on to it. And people are like, "Man, you're pretty stubborn when it comes to these like principles and standards." I'm like, "Yeah, because they're the only way a nice guy like me, I consider myself like, quote unquote, nice guy, like me, can even live in this world. It's have like justice system."
Yeah.
So yeah, like when it comes to the guy in right in my, right in my stomping grounds in North Carolina, or the assassin of Charlie Kirk, um, there needs to be some justice. There better be some justice.
Yeah.
Um, we got standards to uphold, and I can't. And one of the biggest problems that I've seen in the whole entire justice system is the abuse of discretion.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. I've written some things about. I've never written a book, but I write a lot, just kind of notes and everything. The abuse of discretion is a huge thing, to where um, it's not just you're driving 80 miles per hour on a 60 miles per hour, and the cop lets you off. It's not just that anymore. It's where I don't know if you saw this, but I think it was when back a long time ago when I think it was in Virginia or New York, I forget it was, but there was a judge, or Florida, I think it was Florida, a judge that said, "I'm going to actively use discretion to basically like get rid of one law." Basically, he said, "I'm going to not enforce this law on purpose. There's some crime." And you could be every now and then, like, like kind of like the priest in the Bible, where they're kind of like, "Okay, I see you did this, but I kind of see a way, show
There's
some."
a time and place for mercy, right? You think of that story of Jesus talks about the master who forgave the servant for the money that he owed. He forgave him, he let him go. He had mercy on him. He was begging for mercy, so he showed him mercy, right? He showed discretion there. All right, even though you deserve this, I'm going to let you go. Well, that person takes that mercy, throws it in the trash, and then, is asking his servant for the money and, beats him. Well, there's no
Oh,
more mercy after that. You got one chance.
no,
You were
no,
shown mercy and you abused it. And now you're getting now justice, now the hammer of justice is coming down. But, it's
yes,
like we're at a point where it's like you're letting people out over and over and over and over again, and you're victimizing innocent people, and that's not good.
no, not at all, man. And that's why I I do believe in I go back and forth, but in this regard right here, I do believe in the death penalty. Like, I
Yeah.
believe in the death penalty. And I um simply because he took a life, and at the base part of death penalty is a life for a life.
Yeah.
And I find it really, really hard to understand why we still have people who have their life, even though they're in prison for life, they murdered 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 people who don't have a life anymore.
Yeah.
They're still breathing. They're in jail, and it's probably not cool, or in prison. They're not probably not cool in prison, but they're living. And I'm like, yo, like, is it a commensurate? Is it proportionate? Is it just as proportionate, like, to have someone living in prison after killing so many people?
Yeah. No,
And
definitely
so
not.
that's why I'm like, yeah, like, um, you know, Erica Kirk has forgiven him. Her conscience is clean. Um, During that slither of time, I do hope that there's like, because I, as worse as it is, I don't think that I don't want to wish hell on anybody.
Yeah.
Like God, Jesus didn't wish didn't he said today he with you in paradise for the thief of the cross. Like um but I hope that there's like in this, like you said, in the slither of time between him and I guess his execution day, if there is one, if someone were to get the opening to come in and you know have him give his life to Christ, yeah, I'll be like, oh, amazing, amazing, amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that's what
Oh,
we all
but
hope for, man. We hope. I
oh
mean,
yeah,
I don't hate anybody enough where I wouldn't want to see them have eternal life. Even
yeah,
somebody that, took out this giant of faith, like I wouldn't want to see my worst enemy go to hell. I wouldn't want that. It's like my heart of hearts is to see changed hearts, and that's my
yes,
hope. But it's also not to defer judgment, punishment, because that's part of what it actually even means to love, you know?
yeah. And there's people on even on the right side who are like, no, I hope he burns. I
Yeah.
want him to burn, 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 burn. And I get what they're where they're kind of coming from. Um, but I have no problem saying, for me saying, hey, hope you accept Christ. Then off with your head. You just see Christ a little earlier.
Yeah.
You see him a little sooner.
Yep. Yeah, I'm on board with that. Um, just a couple more questions that I wanted to, or things I wanted to talk about before we start to wrap things up. Is so yeah, I think there's this temptation when something like this happens that there are people that are afraid. I mean, really afraid to speak their mind. There's a lot of people that are emboldened, but I do think that there is a lot of people that saw this happen, saw the way the left react, and they're like, "Oh man, like this is real." That could be me. What would you say to somebody like that that's maybe struggling with that fear?
Well, if someone says that could, man, that could be me. Um, I would say this: do not take this as like, don't turn this situation into like a terrorist situation.
Yeah.
When I say that, it's it means, man, like I better not speak out anymore anyway, because this guy, and I mean the world's, it doesn't look like the world's getting any safer. It is getting safer, only through because of a few all the things that the current administration is doing. But at the same time, like maybe I should bottle all my thoughts up and just keep it to myself, because it could be me. I'm saying no, like go harder.
Yeah.
Seriously, go harder. That should be the fire under you. Go harder. Like don't let them shut you up because of this. That guy, man, there was another really really famous uh podcaster on the left that I'm just praying for this guy, because I don't know what's going on with him. But if you heard you've seen what Destiny said,
Oh God, bro. Yeah, I
like
saw what he said.
a lot of things is hard. A lot of people it's hard to pray for. Um, but like you gotta pray for people like that, because I'm like, he basically said, "Hey, Kirk would have been alive if you hadn't have voted Trump in."
Yeah.
That's pretty much terrorism right there.
Yeah.
Um, and when I heard him say things like that, and then double and triple down when he was on Piers Morgan, and or I saw that segment and all that, I was like, people actually like think that way. um, to where they want to use this to shut other people up. And I just can't have it, man. The truth to be preached.
Yeah.
The number one, the gospel has to be preached. The good news. The truth has to be preached. Like like the Bible says. This actually goes right with it. The Bible says grace and truth comes through Jesus Christ.
Yep.
Both of them together. So yes, you see the grace, the mercy, the grace on that side, but you gotta have truth, man. Like you can't like I'm not hiding the truth under any circumstances right now.
Yeah.
And um I feel like sometimes for me it's kind of it can get kind of out scary is the only word I can think of right now, but kind of like I could get kind of held back a little bit because um there could be kind of targets on me, and then I could say someone like me, simply because there is a culture that I feel like is waking up even more right now
Yeah.
of my side of culture. I know the idea. I know this is 100%. This is what Stephen A. Smith said it, and it was 100% right. That when it comes to black people, especially black men, a lot of them are very, very conservative.
Yeah.
Very conservative. It's just for some reason when it goes in the voting block, they do the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And so to have someone who would, I guess, show like integrity politically with what they are in real life, like it has to line up. That's what integrity is. Your words line up with your actions, that kind of thing. Yeah, I could see the target being on my back, even from my own culture.
Yeah.
But am I going to stop? No, I definitely should not, because I claim Psalm 91, and I'm one of those. I claim Psalm 91 over my life, where the Lord will protect me, keep His angels in charge over me to keep me in all my ways, and I will be protected under the shadow of the Almighty. And I know that God will protect me.
Yeah.
And um, that's just where I'm at right now. I want to speak the truth, speak the truth in love, speak the truth, and not hold back.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I believe firmly that revival has already started. I think, we saw something unlike anything I'd ever seen at the memorial service. You had, all these, believers gathered together in one accord. You had politicians sharing the gospel. That's mind blowing.
Mm,
The real gospel too, not this watered down, but
yeah,
the real gospel, man, was going forth. You had people accepting Christ in that stadium. And now you
mm,
have this global movement bubbling up. I mean, all over the world, bro. I mean, Australia,
yeah,
Seoul, Japan. I mean, all over the place. You're seeing
yeah.
people say we are Charlie Kirk. So do you think revival is being birthed from this?
Yes. Well, I can tell you this. Anyone who they're finally figuring out how big of an influence Charlie Kirk was when he hired 1,500 people, uh, just for and all with all of his chapters to create a really big machine to help kind of Trump get over the hump a little bit, and all that kind of stuff. That's just a political part of it. But this guy wasn't like, and it was a a beacon of truth, and he debated in the highest halls of academia in other countries, and he's seen everywhere. So when he passed away, I was looking at comments. I was like, how in the world can he pull 100,000 people and then overflow a whole nother stadium and pack everything out, places out? And why is it that when he passed away, churches started getting full? I heard so many stories about churches
Oh
being
yeah.
packed out and all that. How is it that how is it? And we just don't recognize, man. Like a lot of times that's how God works. God works where my pastor said this a long time ago. He said when we because I was with him when he basically first started his church. He said, "Yeah, man. God just sometimes he just likes to work with." one face and elevating that face. There was always a Moses. There was always a big name in front of everyone.
Yeah.
And when he was starting his church, he said, "Man, I don't like the idea of putting it over or of naming of having my face out there and being that like they're following my face." But a lot of times as pastors, that's how it is.
Yeah.
Where your name is the church and the church is your name. And Kirk, that name Charlie Kirk was that huge
Yeah.
to where Charlie Kirk was TPUSA, TPUSA was Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
And the fact that all those chapters are everywhere around the US and there's like 100,000 more inquiries now, so there might be more opening up
Oh
and all
yeah.
that. And then how much he's known about the entire world. Um, you recognize how why he pulled so many people into that memorial, and how if there was anyone that was basically Trump without the baggage and without the brashness of Trump, and also without just the things that they're not really the best about Trump. You get a Kirk. That's basically who Kirk is,
Yeah.
and so um, man, it was just amazing to see that.
Yeah. Without a doubt, dude. It's profound to see the impact that he's made and that he's making right now, and to see people galvanized, you know, and I said it myself. I feel more charged up than I've ever felt in my entire life. You know, I'm like
Yes,
locked in and ready to go after this with everything that I have, regardless of the consequences. You know, because I know there's a certain degree of danger in doing this. You know, and having these hard
yeah,
conversations. I've understood that for a while now. You know, I'm not. I've got, you know, as small as I'm small, dude. I'm tiny. I've gotten death
hmm,
threats. You know, I've gotten people
wow,
harassing me, and I'm nobody. You know, so like
yeah,
I only imagine you know, the bigger you get, the more intense it becomes. But we still do have a responsibility as Christians to go preach the gospel. You know, you saw you know, the
yes,
apostle Stephen, you know, as he's being stoned, you know, he's praying that God forgives them for their sins, you know, and doesn't hold their sin against them. That's
yes,
beautiful, man. That's the gospel. And I think that is coming out of it. And this is what the blood of a martyr does. It spreads. So even though Charlie's dead, you know, the gospel goes forth in a way that is unprecedented. That's how
yeah,
the early church started, was on the blood of martyrs. You know, so it's like, even if they do something and they take out another conservative Christian, well, that's just going to spur on more, you know. So it's like they're up against an unstoppable force. So I guess, as we wrap up, what is, I guess, just some final thoughts that you want to leave the audience with?
Well, sure you've heard this quote, and the quotes are being around here. Is they people are questioning why they consider Charlie Kirk a martyr, and the quote by Tertullian, "The blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church,"
Yeah,
and you you he was assassinated, but he couldn't control what happened after his assassination. These are people's genuine responses and reactions. Filling up churches, coming to Christ, more being wanting to open up debate chapters and uh, action committees for him for all that kind of stuff. He can't control that. He didn't expect it. Like it wasn't him like making that happen. People are wanting to do that,
yeah,
and his life was a seed, and now it's sprouted. And so what I say to people is, um, I had this thought even today was, man, get in while you're hot.
yeah,
What I mean by that is the emotions are up high. A lot of people do things out of emotion, but there's times where doing things out of emotion is a good thing. Because right now, this is remember I remember I'm about to say a year or two ago, you said, "Hey Ross, come to the podcast," and I was like, "Oh, that's great, that's great, that's great." And lo and behold, right now, I said, I'm about to do it while I'm hot right now. Do it while I'm hot, Ross. Get on there, because I was afraid of, the same thing you're afraid of, like so I'm being careful in choices with my words. I know I'm gonna be out there now, all that kind of stuff, and so I was like, kind of like, uh, backing up a bit about that. But I said, no, Ross, do it while you're hot. Do it while you're hot. Do it out while you got that emotion uprising, because it's a good thing.
Yeah.
There's moments where it's good. So I would say to anyone who is feeling emotional right now, and those things you've been thinking about doing for a long time, like while you have that motivation, while you have that push, start it, do it, get it done. Like right now, those are good things that God has put on your heart. Like seriously,
Hmm.
and I'm telling you, like, you may feel like, oh, I don't want to act out of emotion. No, this is the God. This is God emotions at this point.
Yeah.
Like literally, push it out, get it done. And once you start it, that motion will become momentum, and what you've always wanted to begin, God will be faithful to complete. God wants you to start it, and so that's my charge to anyone who listens to this. I don't know how far this will go. I don't know where it will go anywhere, but that's my charge. While you're hot right now, start it, do it, and you'll see the benefits. You'll see the products. You'll see the fruits of what you have of your obedience to Christ.
That's awesome. You're preaching to me, bro. I appreciate that, man. I got one person that chimed in the comments that God is good all the time. Yeah, he is, man. He's good. Yeah. So Ross, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. I appreciate it, man. This is a really good conversation. I enjoyed this a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm really excited that we got to do this. And I hope you have a very blessed night. And we will talk soon.
Thank you so much for your opportunity, and yes, we will definitely talk soon.